topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Books, beauty products, science, fashion, and glam talk. From Bollywood to Hollywood, it's Dr. Afshan Hashmi's radio show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on W4WN Radio, the Women's for Women network. And here's your host, international speaker, educator, award-winning entrepreneur, and best-selling author, Dr. Afshan Hashmi.
Hello everyone, this is your loving host, radio and TV personality as well as best-selling author Dr. Afshan Hashmi, live from the Florida studio of W4WN Radio and Talk 4 TV. Friends, today I will be talking about a very interesting book by United States Secret Service presidential Secret Service officer Gary Barn, and this is the book here. This is the cover of the book. This is the cover of the book here. And then what I will be doing today before I starting the show, I want to remind you that these are my two books. The first one is The Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace, and the second one is The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. Having said that, friends, when this book came in 2015, there was no trace of there was like a lot of research going on in Jugaad, thinking outside the box, and in a very conversational manner, I have written this book. And for my this book, I want a documentary to be made. So all those documentary makers, please contact me at afshan@drafshanhashmi.com. The second book is The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. When this book came in 2019, there was no trace of coronavirus, and in a very unique story I have told what coronavirus is. Having said that, friends, and for this one I want a movie to be made. So all those Hollywood, Bollywood, Netflix producers and all, please contact me at afshan@drafshanhashmi.com. Having said that, friends, before I dive into the review and reading of that book, the cover which I showed you, I want actually uh, that Roxy to please play a sponsorship film, and this show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. So if you give me sponsorship, just imagine in a very reasonable price, your product will be promoted, and you can write to me at afshan@drafshanhashmi.com. Having said that, friends, Roxy, can you please play the first sponsorship movie?
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Afshan Hashmi live from a barn in Virginia, and I just wanted to say for my W4WN radio and Talk 4 TV, I request everyone who is listening to please give sponsorships if you want these shows to continue, because this show is syndicated worldwide to more than 300 million listeners. So if you give me sponsorship, your product will be promoted to more than 300 million listeners around the globe. And I wanted to tell you that to make these kind of shows, it requires a lot of money and energy. So I just want to request a sponsorship, and cheers and bye bye.
And now, friends, I will be talking about this book, which I said, and here is the cover of the book. And then it says, about the book. In this runaway number one New York Times bestseller, former Secret Service officer Gary Barn, who was posted directly outside President Clinton's Oval Office, reveals what he observed of Hillary Clinton's character and the culture inside the White House while protecting the first family in Crisis of Character, the most anticipated book of the 2016 election. And this was a little bit about the book, and then some editorial reviews. I want to read some editorial reviews, and here they are. And this is all from Amazon. If you want, you can go there and read it yourself. It says, I read it cover to cover, Sean Hannity, Fox News Channel. The book is worth reading to better understand the ways people who possess great power but lack character can abuse good public servants. Mr. Barnes' reporting on the flaws of the Federal Air Marshal Service is also eye opening and scary. Fred J. Eckart, The Washington Times. Hillary Clinton has a Jekyll and Hyde personality that left White House staffers scared stiff on her explosives and even physical outbursts, an ex Secret Service officer claims in a scathing new tell all New York Post. So, this was a little bit about the editorial reviews of the book. And now, what I have to say to uh, Gary Barn, you are very courageous to say that. I hope Gary's book is not confiscated by Clinton's as mine was confiscated by Obama and Hillary. My this book was confiscated by them, and the second book also I have lot of problems. Still I haven't received the copyright of it, and I hope, I have applied for copyright. I hope I receive it as soon as possible. I applied for copyright for once, then I did not receive it, and then I have applied it again for the copyright of the book. And this book, The Modern Mughal Mentality, was confiscated. So I hope Gary's book is not confiscated. Like, I believe to be in conversation with Gary Ban, and I request Gary Ban to come on this show and write to me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. And I want to be in conversation because after reading your book, I read this book in 2016 and I was very, very impressed by this book. So please, if you are listening, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. And I want to be in conversation with you either in this show or my Hollywood radio and talk for TV, which comes tomorrow at 6 p.m. US Eastern Time, or in my doco series. And all these three shows get syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. So please, Gary, if you are listening, I would like to be in conversation with you. I believe I believe in the mantra that pen is mightier than the sword. I believe in it, and Gary Barn has power in this book. I also believe in settling scores through writing books. This is the peace way of doing things. You cannot stop me. I had a lot of problems. When I started. That I want to review this book. So I don't know what was the problem. Why books are confiscated? Why my book was confiscated? Why I'm having problems to get the copyright? So I would request President Joe Biden and Madam Kamala Harris to look into the matter. And through this thing, I want to tell them that. Having said that, friends, now I will go on a break and will be back soon.
Would you love exposure for your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talkformedia.com. And now let's hear from some of our sponsors.
Chapter 2: How Jugaad leads to multi-sector success stories in India, including definitions of the Jugaad management principle business model
of the book The Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace. Inspiration. True Jugaad is an inspiration on how to create products using technology that meet the price-value equation. According to a Harvard Business Review article featuring expert Prahlad and Mashelkar, most innovation programs are built on the assumptions of affluence and abundance. We see the rich and the young in both the developed and the developing countries demanding environmental friendly products and services. They also believe that affordability and sustainability are crucial to driving successful business today. New technologies and radical business models are important not only to penetrate mass markets in India but in the entire world. By reconfiguring all areas of the business structure, they will full.
A monstrous infection is spreading worldwide. OMG, is this a simple infection or a deliberate attempt to ruin the human population? Or maybe it's bioterrorism. What is this global infection and who is spreading it? Help us find out. Go to Amazon and search for The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. The human race needs your help to make this go viral. Go to Amazon.com and read The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection to find out what happens next. Go now! The world is depending on you.
And now, back to Dr. Afshan Hashmi's radio show.
So before reading from this book and giving more of my thoughts on this book, I want to read some reviews. I read some of the reviews and I liked this one. So I'm going to read this review. I always read two reviews from, and that is my style of reviewing the books. And actually, no one paid for this thing. I am doing it on my own, but I would love to have a sponsorship from people who are getting benefited by this. Having said that, friends, let me first read about the history of United States Secret Service, and then I will be talking about this. I believe that United States Secret Service is a very pious organization. After reading this book, there were some vital points that came to my mind. Let me first talk about United States Secret Service. So this is the home page of United States Secret Service, and you can see that. And anybody can go there, and it is secretservice.gov and read more about it. But I want to say one integrated mission. We protect our nation's highest elected leaders, visiting foreign heads of state and national special security events, and safeguard the US financial infrastructure and payment systems. So this is their in one integrated mission, and it is here on their page. And then about us. We have integrated mission of protection and financial investigations to ensure the safety and security of our protectees, key locations and events of national significance. We also protect the integrity of our currency and investigate crimes against the US financial system committed by criminals around the world and in cyberspace. And here it is. So, having said that, let's get back to Gary's book. So, I showed you this. And this is my favorite Gary. It's a lot of courage, to write this book. Introduction. I'll be reading a little bit from the introduction. I dreamed of becoming an elite White House Secret Service officer, a member of its uniformed division. Nothing more and certainly nothing less. My dream came true. I stood guard, a pistol at my hip outside the Oval Office, the last barrier before anyone saw Bill Clinton. The last barrier before Monica Lewinsky saw Bill Clinton. Yes, I am that Secret Service officer. I saw Monica and I saw a lot more. I saw Hillary too. I witnessed her obscenity laced tirades, her shifting of blame, how she berated Vince Foster until he could stand no more, how minor incidents involving blue gloves and botched invitations sent her into a tizzy. It was like watching Humphrey Bogart in the Cane Mutiny obsessing about a cart of missing strawberries and losing sight of the world war raging about him. I saw Hillary scheming with Dick Morris to undermine White House Chief of Staff Leon Panetta. FBI agents confided in me about her emerging Filegate scandal. They were just as frustrated with Hillary's methods as we were. And here it is, the book on my Kindle. Life at the Clinton White House careened from crisis, manufactured or not, to even greater crisis, the participants often unable to catch their breath and certainly incapable of learning from them. The Clinton White House atmosphere alternated from hilarity to bitter anger, lurching from nerves on end tension to sheer boredom, its most important residents painfully trapped between illusion and reality. When I joined the Secret Service, I knew my body would be put to the test, that my knees would buckle from rigorous training, and I hoped that the extent of my ethical choices would be body armor or no body armor. Those damn vests weighed down my gun belt and me. We were supposed to lay our lives, not our consciences, on the line. What a beautiful thing, Gary has to say. And I have a lot of respect for Gary Barn after reading this book. But at the Clinton White House, I soon recognized a disturbing and pervasive crisis of character. Boots on the ground, the men and women at the lowest part of the totem pole, those who faced death head on, were measured by the highest of ethical requirements. Those at the very pinnacles of power held themselves to be the very lowest standards or to none whatsoever. I saw how the Clinton machine's appalling leadership style endangered law enforcement officers, the military, and the American people in general. And with Hillary Clinton, I saw how the Clinton machine's appalling leadership style endangered law enforcement officers and military and the American people in general. And with Hillary Clinton's l- latest rise, I realized that her own leadership style, volcanic, impulsive, enabled by sycophants, and disdainful of the rules set for everyone else, hasn't changed a bit. What I saw in the 1990s sickened me. I departed first to other White House duties, which didn't take me far enough away, and then to the Federal Air Marshal Service, still working to protect those people who can't protect themselves. Over a 29-year career serving my country in the military and in federal law enforcement, I have encountered both heroes and villains. I have observed human character at its greatest height and lower depths. In any organization, character is defined at the top. It percolates down to the top executives of an organization, to the middle managers, and to the grunts at the front lines. Hillary Clinton is now poised to become the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, but she simply lacks the integrity and temperament to serve in the office. From the bottom of my soul, I know this to be true. And it is, I'm not making it up, it is written here. So I must speak out. though through portrayed as the long-suffering spouse of an unfaithful husband whose infidelities I personally observed or knew to be true, the Hillary Clinton I saw was anything but a sympathetic victim. Those loyal to her kept coming back for her volcanic eruptions. I witnessed firsthand the Clintons' personal and professional dysfunction. So consumed were they by scandal, so intent on destroying their real or imagined enemies, that governing became an afterthought. The first couple wasted days obsessing over how to kill a forthcoming book, one alleging that Bill Clinton's mother ran a brothel, or in squashing yet another tabloid revelation. And my thoughts are here, that my book, this these two books were sabotaged, and for after reading this introduction, I thought I would come here and also talk about that. So, like, my question is, like, our leaders are there to help American citizens, or to sabotage their books because it doesn't serve their agendas? This is something, very pathetic, and very, 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 I'm very saddened to learn this truth, and I have experienced myself, and I'm experiencing this myself, that why my book is not selling, just because I voted for President Trump in 2016 election. Is it the so, or what it is? And when this book came, there was no President Trump, but people, the powerful people, what I have gathered information is that powerful people, they take away your books, your handwriting and everything, and they might give this book a name by someone else, because I was contacted several times that to we will give your book to this person and that person, but I said send me an email, and nobody would send me an email regarding it. And then my book was not selling, although it was an Amazon bestseller, and this was one also an Amazon bestseller for a few days, and this was for 1 month. So what, I have a question with these powerful politicians, that this is what America is. It is the largest democracy of the world. So in this, we can't even, write a book, and my book is not controversial or anything. It's just a simple book. So through this medium, I wanted to convey this to Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, President Trump, Melania Trump, and also President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, what is going on? I want to have an answer. What is going on? Why my copyright? For the second time, I had to apply for my copyright. It is a very, very simple procedure. So don't hide behind those procedures. I just wanted to say that. Having said that, friends, I will continue to read the introduction from Gary Barnes' book. But at the Clinton White House, I soon recognized a disturbing and pervasive crisis of character. Boots on the ground, the men and women at the lowest part of the totem pole, those who faced death head on, were measured by the highest of ethical requirements. Those at the very pinnacles of power held themselves to the very lowest standards, or to none whatsoever. I saw how the Clinton machine's appalling leadership style endangered law enforcement officers, the military, and the American people in general. And with Hillary Clinton's latest rise, I realized that her own leadership style, volcanic, impulsive, enabled by sycophants, and disdainful of the rules set for everyone else, hasn't changed a bit. So this is here, you can see. When I saw in the 1990s, so I have read this, and you can read the introduction. Now, here it is. Again, introduction. It says, during the Clinton administration, I swore myself to secrecy, but not because government lawyers demanded it, though they later did. I kept silent not just because my superiors insisted on it, my own conscience also demanded it. Duty required it, but it was hard. Sometimes I had trudged home to my wife, Jenny, and just hugged her without explanation. What can a simple Secret Service officer, do? Or a simple American citizen? At least he was a Secret Service officer and he knew the system. I am just a normal American citizen trying to meet my make my ends meet. So what should I do in that thing? America, just think about it. Like where we are standing in the largest democracy of the world. What's going on? She had asked. I'd say I'm so glad we aren't like those people. I didn't want to live in their crazy world. I had no animosity towards the Clintons. Out of a sense of loyalty to our first family, I even secretly disposed of sordid physical evidence that might later have been used to convict the president. The blue dress wasn't the only evidence of his misdeeds, but I could not keep from asking myself how our nation's leader could be so reckless, so volatile, and so dangerous to themselves and to our nation. And yes, to me and my family. Only under federal subpoena and later a ruling by US Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist did I reveal to Ken Starr's prosecutors the true story of President Bill Clinton's false testimony and misstatements. I have retired now from public service, from safeguarding the Bush and Clinton families, as well as from protecting passengers of the Federal Air Marshal Service. Maybe I haven't seen it all, but I have seen enough. I want you to hear my story. It's about the men and women risking their lives to protect this nation. And more important, it is about how the Clintons must never again be allowed to put them or you or your children at risk. And here it is. So please go and buy this book and read it. And nobody has asked me to do a review of this or anything, but it is an independent show, and media should be free of any bias. And I felt like I liked the book, so I did it. Although I made lot of notes that what I will say, but after reading this again, all these emotions are coming out, that how come my book was confiscated during Obama and Hillary time in 2011. What is going on with this book business? What is it, book mafia, or what it is? That is my question. Having said that, friends, now I will go on a break and will be back soon.
Would you love exposure for your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talkformedia.com. And now let's hear from some of our sponsors.
A monstrous infection is spreading worldwide. Oh my God, is this a simple infection or a deliberate attempt to ruin the human population? Or maybe it's bioterrorism. What is this global infection and who is spreading it? Help us find out. Go to Amazon and search for The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. The human race needs your help to make this go viral. Go to Amazon.com and read The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection to find out what happens next. Go now. The world is depending on you.
The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection, Chapter 1, 1964 to 2018, and this is the sample track, and it is read by Dr. Afshan Hashmi. In a sprawling bungalow in Potomac, Maryland, USA, lived Dr. Honey Singh, a board-certified internal medicine and family practice physician, along with his beautiful wife, Baby Singh. Baby Singh was a fashionista and was funding women's causes through her Honey Babe Foundation. She had a ladies' book club by the name of Baby's Glam and Glitzy Club, which had many glam and glitzy ladies who were professionals living in Washington, D.C. D.C., Potomac, Maryland, Virginia, and even Beverly Hills, California, as well as elites from all of America meeting at her place on the last Wednesday of every month discussing various aspects of charities they wanted her and Dr. Honey to fund. In this club, there was a wide spectrum of career women. There were doctors, lawyers, actresses, business owners, and models, to name a few. In these book club meetings, members would come prepared after reading a book of a famous woman author, and that author was even invited from any part of the world to give her presentation, followed by a Q&A in this prestigious and elite gathering.
And now, back to Dr. Afshan Hashmi's radio show.
So friends, I hope you like the program till now, and let me read little bit from this chapter 1, the vase. Nobody knew everything that was going on at the Clinton White House, not even President Clinton's press guru, George Stephanopoulos. He wasn't there at night, and some of the best or worst moments happened after hours. People like George didn't hear and see what we did around the executive mansion, so my guess is they didn't know how Hillary battled her husband in the West Wing. One morning in late summer 1995, I entered the White House to assume my post just outside the Oval Office, officially Secret Service Post E-6. Things were stirring and I wanted to know why. Everyone on post that night, Secret Service agents, and it says SAs, SARS. And here it is. Secret Service Uniform Division UD officers like myself, the housemen and the ushers couldn't help but hear the first couple arguing as sounds from their fracases traveled through the old building. Mrs. Clinton had a booming voice, and their yelling matches easily transferred the living quarters, private elevator, vents, and staircase. Many housemen eased away, but the SARS and UD couldn't leave their post. This was especially a big argument that ended with a crash. SARS were obligated to respond and found its cause. A vase on the other side of the room, a houseman picked up the damage. The first couple couldn't just sweep up and toss out the remains because everything in the White House is logged and recorded, befitting its role as a national landmark and a veritable museum. Now, friends, I will go on a break. And Roxy, can you please play the second sponsorship film?
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Afshan Hashmi, and I just wanted to request you that please give me a sponsorship, and I am live from Maryland, and this show is syndicated worldwide with more than 300 million listeners, and to produce these kind of shows it requires lots of time and money, so please give me a sponsorship if you want these shows to continue, and I'm live from Maryland. Having said that, friend, cheers and bye.
Would you love exposure for your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email to info@talk4media.com. And now let's hear from some of our sponsors.
A monstrous infection is spreading worldwide. Oh my God, is this a simple infection or a deliberate attempt to ruin the human population? Or maybe it's bioterrorism. What is this global infection and who is spreading it? Help us find out. Go to Amazon and search for The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. The human race needs your help to make this go viral. Go to Amazon.com and read The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection to find out what happens next. Go now. The world is depending on you.
The outbreak of a monstrous infection Chapter 1, 1964 to 2018, and this is the sample track, and it is read by Dr. Afshan Hashmi. In a sprawling bungalow in Potomac, Maryland, USA, lived Dr. Honey Singh, a board-certified internal medicine and family practice physician, along with his beautiful wife, Baby Singh. Baby Singh was a fashionista and was funding women's causes through her Honey Bay Foundation. She had a ladies' book club by the name of Baby's Glam and Glitzy Club, which had many glam and glitzy ladies who were professionals living in Washington, D.C., Potomac, Maryland, Virginia, and even Beverly Hills, California, as well as elites from all of America meeting at her place on the last Wednesday of every month, discussing various aspects of charities they wanted her and Dr. Honey to fund. In this club, there was a wide spectrum of career women. There were doctors, lawyers, actresses, business owners, and models, to name a few. In these book club meetings, members would come prepared after reading a book of a famous woman author, and that author was even invited from any part of the world to give her presentation, followed by a Q&A in this prestigious and elite gathering.
And now, back to Dr. Afshan Hashmi's radio show.
So now I like this. The boy from Hope, Arkansas. The new presidential staff was in and the old was out. I found myself saying, "Good morning, Mr. President," to a new person, President Clinton. And then it says here, down, Mrs. Clinton's office near the Oval Office made her the first lady on the West Wing. The media buzzed over her semi-cabinet position, that she could never be fired, how she'd always be first to the president's ear. Should a first lady to be a social role model or an unfireable, unofficial chief of staff? We were eager to learn that ourselves. And here I stop reading from the book, and you can go and buy this book. This book is available worldwide wherever books are sold. Having said that, friends, I just wanted to remind you that these are my two books. Please go and buy these two books and write to me at afshan@afshanhashmi.com. And through the sale of these books, I finance these programs. And I just cannot understand that I have 300 million listeners, and I have writing about sponsorships. I went to sponsor pitch and have gone there, company, and like they find sponsors and all, but I haven't got that. What is the problem there? I just cannot understand. And even I sent my two books to Sean Hannity, and I haven't heard back from him. And I sent this book to President Trump, and also I sent this book to Vice President Mike Pence. And President Trump's office, they returned the thing, and I got a thank you note. But VP's office, Mike Pence office, I never received any thank you note or anything. So that also shows an attitude. And then I'm going to send these books, both the books, to the present president, Joe Biden, and for first lady, Jill Biden. I'm going to send these two books to them, and I request them from this platform that I would love to be in conversation with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as First Lady Jill Biden. And also, I had written earlier to President Trump when he was president, to be in conversation on this show, and I'm still waiting to hear back from him. And from this platform, I again request him that I please, your office, I have contacted, and I want your office to contact me if you want to come in this show and tell your part of the story. Because and also First Lady Melania Trump, I like her, and I want her to come here and talk about whatever she wants to talk, I want to be in conversation with her. Having said that, friends, now, friends, I just want sponsorships in order for these shows to continue. And I haven't received any sponsorships yet, although the show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. How far can I go? So does someone wants to silence my voice? That's why I'm not getting sponsorships, because with 300 million listeners, I can get a sponsorship. Having said that, friends, now today I am going to end this show, and I want a documentary to be made out of this one, and a movie to be made out of this one, and I'm doing a screenplay of this, and I will be sending it to people. Having said that, friends, now I would end this program. Cheers and bye bye, and see you in another episode of my show. And tomorrow my show comes on Hollywood Radio and Talk for TV. And having said that, friends, and that is also syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners, as well as this show, as well as my doco series. Having said that, friends, cheers and bye bye.
You have been listening to Dr. Afshan Hashmi's radio show on W4WN Radio, the Women for Women Network. Tune in live right here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Would you love exposure for your business, product, or service to over 300 million potential listeners? Send an email at info@talk4media.com. And remember, if you missed any part of this show or want to hear it again, find our featured show on iHeartRadio, where all past episodes are available on demand 24/7. See you next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.